Hi, welcome to Exam Debug. I'm Chris, and today I'm going to be taking you through how to make a report in Access. So, first thing is please make sure you've already done the basics on tables and how to make queries, because I'm assuming that you know that already before we start. Okay, good. So, what is a report? A report is a nice layout that we're going to give to somebody or to print. So, for example, I have this query here with this information. It's not very well laid out. It's not very easy to follow. It's just a straight output of the data. So I want to make it more pretty and nicer. So to do that, I'm going to use a report. So let's have a look at how we do something like that. So I'm starting off here with just a table and a query. I've deleted the report. So if we go up to create and we go along here, we've got our reports section. We can do just straight into the report design and do everything manually, but with reports it is a lot easier if we use the report wizard in Access. So if I click on this. So our first option here is going to be, do we want to base it on the table or do we want to base it on the query? So what it's asking us here is, on the report, do we want all the data from our full table, or do we only want it to be the results that we've got out in our query? So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it based on the query, because during the exams, it's very, very common for them to ask you to make a report. And what they'll do is they'll say the report must have only certain fields that match a certain criteria. And you have to know that to make that report, you first have to make a query. So watch out for that. Usually you'll have to import a table, make a query, and then make a report based on that query. So I'm going to start with my query blue-red. This part down here is all of the different fields which we have inside my query. And we can add more fields to the report by clicking this one. We can remove them by clicking here. And the double arrows is for adding all of them to our report. So I'm going to take all of them this time, because there's nothing I really don't want on there. I click next. So our next option is grouping. We can choose to have different levels in our report. For example, maybe I want to base it on city. Maybe the focus of my report is going to be which cities are doing the best. So if I put in location here, we're going to have the city, and then we're going to have all of the cars, other information, all the other fields underneath the location. And that way we can see very quickly, okay, I want to know about Hamburg. How's Hamburg doing down here? And then maybe we'll have Rotterdam and Rotterdam underneath there. But this time we'll keep it simple, no groupings, because it's not so common to see that in the test. So next. Sorting, however, is very common. Most of the time you will be asked to sort the data. And the best place to do that is going to be in your report. That's probably the easiest place to do it. You can do it earlier in the queries, but I would suggest you do it here. So again, I'm going to do this based on location. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I'm going to do it based on location. And I'm going to have it in ascending order. So it'll be going from A up to Z. And sub-sorting, I can sub-sort after the location. And I'm going to do that on price. But this time I'm going to have it descending. So that's going to be starting with the highest price and going down. But first it will be done on location. So you'll have the A to Z of locations, and then inside each location you'll have the price. And again, we can sort further and further as we wish. Okay, so I'm going to click next. We've got our layout here. We usually just use tabular. for the exam, but you can play about with this and see the different options for the layouts that you might like. However, orientation is very important. Do we want it to be portrait or landscape? So I've got quite a lot of fields, so I'm going to have mine as landscape so that they can all fit. And this little click box here is very important. We can adjust the field widths so that they all fit on a single page. So please notice that this is only for the width. It's not for the number of pages in your document. It's just for the width. Click next. Okay, and if you're using an older version of Access, at this point in time, you probably are going to be asked about the layout style that you want. For 2010, this is a little bit different, and we can do the layout things later. So if you're using an older version, just so you know. So in this section, what we're being asked is what do we want for the report title? Blue-red is okay, but I already have a blue-red query. So to keep things clear, I'm going to call it blue-red report. It is a good idea just to write that on there. It saves a bit of confusion later on. Okay, and then I've got an option, preview the report, which means see what it's going to look like, or modify the design. So let's see what it looks like first, and then we can modify it afterwards anyway. Click finish. Okay, and I end up with something like this. So as you can see, it's all on a single page width, but I have a bit of a problem over here. These have all been crushed in too much together, so I'm going to have to sort that out. And if you get these hash symbols, it means that the data is there, but that it's too squeezed together to be seen properly. So we're going to have to make that section much bigger as well. Alright, so if we close the print preview by clicking up here, we'll be brought into our design view. So this is the design view. So we've got 5 little sections here. The report header, that's going to be only at the top of the report, on the first page. The page header will be at the top of every page. Detail is going to be our body text. The footer, page footer, will be on the bottom of every page. And the report footer will only be at the end of the report. So you can see here we don't have a report footer. But with any of these, we can play about, we can increase and decrease the size. For example, report footer. I could drag this out and add some in there if I wanted to. But I can also get rid of it as well. Okay, so we can play about with things like that. The first thing we have to do though is try and sort out a little bit our fields here and try and make them better spaced so that we can see everything in full. You'll usually have to display all of the field names and all of the data in full on your report for your exam. So let's have a quick look back and see what we need to change. So we can switch between our views here. I'm going to go to report view. Okay, so power, I've got way too much space. I can shrink that down, and I want to space out these a bit more. So power and model can be a bit smaller, and we'll see what we can do with that. So let's say I select power. So if I select here and I change it, it's only going to change the field the field heading. So what I want to do is press Control and click on power so that they're both highlighted at the same time. So this is both the data and the heading. So I want them to match up in their size. So now if I drag it, I can make it much smaller. And then at the same time here, I can move things around. Move this along a bit. And move it along again. And this along, and I believe this was the one that's not got enough space, so I can make that bigger. Okay, now if I go back to here, I'm still going to have to do a lot of work on this, but at least you can see that the date sold is now no longer the hashtags, but I'm going to have to make some big changes here after the color to sort out that. But you can work on that with your own documents. There's no point in spending too much time on it here. So play about, get the fields exactly as you need them to be. And then if I go to the design view again, there are other changes that I can make. So as I mentioned before, in the earlier versions of Access, you'll be asked to pick the style in the wizard, but for later versions of Access, you can choose your themes over here. So we can change the different colors and styles of the report that we want it to be, along with fonts and other things. And you can find and import other ones of these that are going to be the most suitable for you. Additionally, we often are going to have to add in extra information. For example, it's a requirement when you're printing in your IGCSE exam to make sure you have your name on the top of every page, or clear on every page. So to add in text, I can use this label button up here. But if I were to put my name on here, it would only be at the top of the first page. So I want to put it onto my page header. So I'm going to make my spacing a bit more for the page header. I'm going to drag, oops, sorry, let me do them all. In the earlier versions, you can just drag these down. If you want to lock things together, as they are in the earlier versions, you can use this grouping to lock them together. And that way, when you click on it, it will always select them all. So it sort of does that automatically in the earlier versions of Access. Anyway, I can drag them all down. You can see from this black square on the side where they're going to be. So I'll move them all down to here. And I'm going to go back to design. I'm going to choose label. And I'm going to put, far too big a label, but yeah, I'm going to put my name on here. So yeah, you probably have your name, your student number, and your center, things like that you'll be putting on there. And you can go back and edit this, or you can edit these here. In the footer, we've got the date already. We've got other objects, things like that, and you can get all of these from this section here. So maybe we can add a logo onto our heading and things like that. But so let's go back and have a look and see what it looks like. We'll go to the print preview this time. So you see on the top of this page, we've got Chris, and my date still needs sorted as well. It's not working out in the print the same way. I go to the next page. Oh, it's blank because I don't have enough data. But if I had more pages, then at the top of each page, I would have the name there. Okay, so I think that's about all we need for reports at the moment, but we will be coming back to calculate fields and other things as well. So please check out the website and don't forget to subscribe. And if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comment section below. Thanks very much and good luck with your exams.